Hello, everyone, and welcome. Have you ever stopped to think about why a Hollywood movie or a pop song from the US or the UK can feel like it's speaking to the entire world? Well, that's the power of the English language. And in this explainer, designed specifically for your AMC course, we're going to unpack exactly how it shapes our modern world. Let's start with this quote from the author, Paul Lynch. He says, "We're machines for belief." And it's so true, isn't it? When we sit down to watch Netflix, we're just consuming stories, one after another. And those stories build our reality, they shape how we see the world, and more often than not, they're told in English. Now, this isn't just some random idea. This connects directly to your AMC curriculum. We're in Theme 1, Identities and Exchanges, and specifically focusing on Axis 3, which is all about imaginaries and representations in the contemporary world. We're exploring how English creates these shared stories and images, these imaginaries that help define who we are. So all of this brings us to our big guiding question for today. In a world that's so connected by English, is the language a tool that gives a voice to people everywhere, or is it actually a force that imposes one dominant culture on everyone else? As you can probably guess, there's no simple answer here. So let's dig into the complexity. Okay, here's our plan. First, we'll look at the sheer scale of English on the global stage. Then, we'll dive into a really important debate. Is it soft power or cultural imperialism? We'll see how that plays out with real-world examples. And then, and this is key for you, we'll look at how you can use all of this to build your own brilliant analysis for your assessment. All right, let's get started. To really understand the global influence of English, we need to get our heads around two major competing ideas. So, on the one hand, we have this concept of soft power. You can think of this as the power of attraction. But on the other hand, you have a much more critical view, cultural imperialism, which is all about the power of dominance. These two ideas are in constant tension, so let's break them down. Right, pay close attention here, because these two concepts are absolutely fundamental. You'll want to have a really solid grasp of these for any of your exams. So first up, soft power. The political scientist Joseph Nye came up with this idea. It's not about military force, that's hard power. Soft power is the ability to get what you want because others admire your culture and your values and want to follow your lead. It's about attraction, not coercion. And we see this in action everywhere. Think about Hollywood movies that spread American ideas about individualism all over the globe, or the BBC, which is seen as a trusted source of news worldwide. Even something like student exchange programs is a form of soft power. Okay, but here's the counter-argument. Is it really just friendly attraction, or is it a form of dominance? This brings us to cultural imperialism. This is the idea that a powerful, dominant culture can impose its values so strongly that it begins to weaken or even erase local cultures and identity. So how might this cultural imperialism actually work in practice? Well, one of the most powerful ways is through representation in the media, specifically how English-speaking cultures represent the other. I mean, think about it. You've definitely seen this. How many times is the super intelligent, evil villain in a movie British, or the awkward but charming romantic hero? It's not an accident. This is sometimes called the Hollywood accent code, where accents are used as a kind of shortcut for character stereotypes. This line here from the comedy A Fish Called Wanda just captures this tension perfectly. The character Otto is playing on this very stereotype of English superiority. It's funny, for sure, but underneath the humor is a sharp critique of these exact kinds of national cliches. And it's not just in the movies. This bias can even find its way into how English is taught. Just look at this example from an English language teaching textbook. It's defining a farmhand using the image of a monkey. It's pretty shocking, right? It just goes to show how these biased representations can be hidden even in educational materials. But, and this is a really important but, this is not a one-way street. The story doesn't end with domination. In fact, many people are now using English as a powerful tool for resistance. It's a phenomenon that's often called the empire writes back. I love this phrase. It perfectly captures the idea of people from formerly colonized nations using the language of the colonizer to create their own powerful art and return the favor. They're taking the language and making it their own. I mean, a perfect contemporary example is the global explosion of Afrobeats. You've got Nigerian artists like Burna Boy and Rima topping charts around the world, and what are they doing? They're blending English with languages like Yoruba or Igbo, talking about their own experiences and completely flipping the script on who gets to influence global culture. It's a dialogue now, not a monologue. And you see this same dynamic happening online. The internet has created a new kind of community, what some people call hashtag publics. Basically, a hashtag can bring together total strangers from all corners of the globe around a single idea, creating powerful movements almost overnight. And of course, the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement is one of the most powerful examples of this. It began with a simple hashtag in English, and it grew into a global conversation. English was the language that connected and mobilized millions of people in a campaign for social justice. Okay, so we've gone through some really big, complex ideas. The next question, and the most important one for you, is how do you actually apply these concepts in your assessments? Let's break down the method. Whenever you're writing an analytical paragraph, I want you to remember this simple three-step structure: idea, example, explanation. First, state your idea clearly. Then, back it up with a specific example from a text or document. And finally, this is the crucial part: explain how that example proves your idea. It is a foolproof recipe for a strong argument. And to help you build those arguments, here is some of the key vocabulary we've talked about today. Don't just learn these words. Try to actively use them when you're writing and speaking. They will make your analysis so much more precise and academic. So let's sum up. The role of English in the world is complex. It's a constant push and pull, a dialectic between the attractive force of soft power on one side and the dominating force of cultural imperialism on the other. But the result of that tension isn't silence. It's a new, vibrant, global dialogue where more and more voices are using the language to tell their own stories. And that brings us right back to where we started, with the power of stories. Our world is literally built on the stories we tell each other. So the question I'm going to leave you with is this: in this world connected by English, who gets to write the next global story? And maybe more importantly, what part will you play in telling it?